You ever notice how people only start missing you once you stop giving a damn? That's the sick little game the world plays on you, kid. You give till your hands are bleeding and your heart's running on fumes. And they still look at you like you ain't done enough. You chase them like a damn fool, hoping they see your worth. You bend, you break, you drown in your own silence just to keep them from leaving. But here's the punchline, sweetheart. The more you chase, the faster they run. See, people ain't built to appreciate loyalty, not when it's handed to them on a silver platter. They respect distance. They worship what walks away with its head high and back straight. You show them your heart, they stomp on it, you disappear without a word. Suddenly, you're unforgettable. That's how twisted this game is. You think you're doing the right thing by being there for them, by answering every text, calling first, checking in even when they don't give a damn if you're breathing. Nah, that's not love. That's desperation wearing a smile, and they smell it. They smell the fear of losing them all over you, and they feed on it. You're the prey. You're the one begging for scraps while they throw your loyalty into the dirt like yesterday's trash. Let me teach you something real. Respect isn't begged for. It's earned in silence. You want them to see your worth? Stop talking. Stop explaining. Stop showing up like a loyal dog they can kick when they're bored. Pull back. Go cold. Let the silence scream for you. That's when they'll start wondering, where the hell did he go? You know what people fear the most? Losing access. Not love, not connection, access. They want to know you'll always be there, even if they never call, never show up, never ask how you're doing. They want the comfort of knowing they can come back whenever life slaps them in the face and they feel lonely. And as long as you keep that door open, you're just a convenience, not a priority. Ever notice how they respect the ones who don't give a damn? The ones who walk like they own the silence? The ones who vanish without a trace and never beg for attention? That's power. Cold, clean power. Not because they're better than you, not because they're more valuable, but because they understood the rules. You don't earn respect by proving your love. You earn it by showing you don't need theirs. Look around you. People worship ghosts more than the living. They cry for the ones who left, but spit on the ones who stayed. So stop begging to be seen. Stop kneeling at the feet of people who wouldn't even flinch if you vanished. Stand up. Shut up. Walk the hell away. And when you do, don't leave a trace. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Just vanish. Let the absence speak your truth. You think they'll forget you? Nah. The mind don't forget silence. The heart don't heal from unanswered questions. And the ego? Oh, the ego never recovers from being ignored. That's your power, kid. That's your revenge. Not screams, not threats, just distance. Just the sound of their own regret echoing in a room you used to light up. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them understanding. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself dignity. And you sure as hell owe yourself a life that ain't spent chasing people who were never running towards you. You gave too much, didn't you? You gave until there was nothing left but your own bones rattling with the weight of silence. You sat there waiting for a damn thank you that never came. You sacrificed sleep, pride, sanity, just to be enough. You kept thinking that maybe, just maybe, if you showed them how much you cared, they'd come around, that they'd finally see you. But they didn't. Because the truth is, that they don't want your love. They want your weakness. They want the version of you that chases, that cries, that folds like paper every time they pull away. You ever think about why they only call when they need something? Why they only show up when their little world falls apart? Because they know you'll be there, like a damn vending machine for comfort. But the second you need something, silence, empty air, they disappear like smoke in a cold alley. That's not love. That's exploitation wrapped in a hug. And you fell for it, didn't you? Over and over. But let me tell you something they won't. You're the villain in their story the moment you stop bleeding for them. You go quiet, you stop trying, you vanish, and suddenly you're cold, you're toxic, you're changed. But what they won't say is that you finally saw through the game. You stopped feeding their ego. You stopped being their emotional doormat. And now they don't like that. Because they don't love you. They love what you give them. Attention, validation, control. And when you pull that plug, they panic. And that panic, that's your proof. That's your power. That's your reminder that you were never invisible. You were just too available. You want to know why they respect the ones who ignore them? Because silence is expensive. Because the ones who walk away without a word are the ones who hold the cards. That's the power of indifference. It chokes egos. You stop replying. They spiral. You stop chasing. They start wondering. That's how this world works. It's a sick, twisted dance where love ain't love. It's leverage. And the only ones who win are the ones who know when to walk away. But you kept holding on. Like a dog begging for scraps under the table of people who never planned on feeding you in the first place. You broke yourself just to keep them whole. You silenced your needs just to keep peace. But let me ask you, where's that peace now? Where are they now that you're the one drowning? Where's all that loyalty you gave out like candy? Gone. Just like that. So here's what you do. You burn the damn bridge. Not with rage, not with words, with silence, with distance. You walk away so far they can't even remember the sound of your voice. And when they come back knocking, don't answer. Not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to stop settling for half love, fake friendship, and maybe laters. And trust me, they will come back. They always do. They always remember the ones who loved them when they didn't deserve it. They remember the ones who stayed quiet when they deserved a war. But by the time they come back, you'll be long gone. Not bitter, not angry, just unavailable. And that, kid, is the sweetest revenge this world has to offer. You want to know what the sickest part is? The moment you stop giving, the moment you stop picking up the phone, stop answering texts, stop trying to fix everything. They suddenly start remembering your worth. Ain't that twisted? You break your damn back holding them up and they don't blink. But the second you let go, the second you disappear, boom. They act like they lost something rare. And they did. But not because of what you gave, because you stopped giving. You were never the background character, kid. You were the whole damn plot. But they didn't see it 'cause you were always there, always showing up, always forgiving, always explaining. You gave them so much. You made yourself small just to fit into the broken little world they built around themselves. And for what? For a maybe? For a breadcrumb? For the illusion of being wanted? Nah, not anymore. You see, people don't miss you when you're quiet. They miss you when you disappear. They don't cry when you're hurt. They cry when you no longer give them access to your pain. Because your pain was useful. Your loyalty was a drug, and you were their favorite fix. Now, they're cold shaken, wondering where you went. And you ain't coming back. And don't let anyone guilt trip you for choosing yourself, for pulling the damn plug. They'll say you changed, that you've got an ego now, that you don't care like you used to. Of course you don't. Because you finally opened your eyes. You finally saw that love isn't proven by how many times you forgive. It's proven by how many times you walk away when you know your soul's getting drained. You ain't heartless, you're tired. There's a difference. You're tired of being the only one who gives a damn. Tired of building bridges with your bare hands while they're setting fires behind your back. Tired of explaining your worth to people who benefit from pretending you don't have any. So let them talk. Let them twist the story. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that dies every time they need you to survive. You were never weak for wanting love, but you were blind for thinking it had to be earned through suffering, through silence, through endless chances. That ain't love. That's slavery, emotional servitude. And it ends tonight. No more explaining, no more chasing. No more texts that go unanswered. No more hoping someone sees you while you're bleeding out in the dark. You stop chasing and watch what happens. They'll start looking. They'll start questioning. Where'd he go? Why isn't he reaching out? Why does it feel so empty now? That silence? It's not just absence. It's punishment. It's truth. It's the echo of every damn time they ignored you when all you needed was a little care. And it ain't just about love or heartbreak, kid. It's about respect. Respect in friendship. Respect in family. Respect in life. You set the tone. You decide the price tag on your soul. If you're selling it for validation, you'll be broke in spirit forever. But if you hold it close, guard it like a treasure, You'll only attract those who see the gold, not just the shine. They only remember you when they're alone, kid. Ain't that funny? When they're surrounded by noise, attention, and fake smiles, they forget. They forget the one who stood by them in silence. The one who asked how they were even when they didn't reply. The one who stayed loyal when there wasn't a single damn reason to be. But the second the lights go off and the crowd disappears, your name echoes in their emptiness. But by then, you should be gone. Long gone. Because here's the dark truth. You were never invisible. You were just too consistent. You were always there, so they thought you'd always be. You made it easy. Too easy. You gave them love without conditions. You gave them loyalty like it was free. And that's the mistake. That's the lesson. When something costs nothing, people treat it like nothing. But the moment it's gone, really gone, they realize they were living off your energy the whole time. You ever seen how people treat water when there's a drought? They panic, they beg, they pray for rain. That's you. You were the storm they took for granted, the rain that kept them alive. And now it's dry. And they're learning what it means to thirst. That's the price of ignorance. That's the cost of comfort. Don't let them back in when they come knocking either. 'Cause they will. Oh, they'll come back with shaky hands and cracked voices. They'll act like they just realized your worth. But deep down, they don't miss you. They miss the version of you that let them feel important, that let them use you like a mirror to admire themselves in. And you ain't that mirror no more. You're glass now, sharp, cold, reflecting reality, not illusions. And maybe you're sitting there still wondering, but what if they change? Let me save you some heartbreak. People don't change unless they lose something they can't replace. And even then, most of them don't change. They adjust just enough to get back what they lost. It ain't real. It's survival. They'll pretend to miss you just long enough to get comfortable again. And then, right back to the same games, same silence, same fake apologies. You're not here to fix people. You're not a rehab for broken souls who can't love without destroying. You're not a second chance dressed in kindness. You're a one-time blessing. And if they couldn't see that when they had you, they damn sure don't deserve to see it now. You want to talk respect? Respect is earned when you stop showing up where you're not valued, when you walk away with no warning, when you stop explaining yourself to people who only listen to respond. You want them to feel your worth? Disappear. Let the absence fill the room they use to throw your name around in. Let the silence hang over their heads like a ghost they can't forget. And don't look back, not even for a second, because the moment you do, you reopen the wound. You give them another shot to pretend. And you've bled enough, haven't you? You've carried the weight long enough. Now, it's time they carry the silence. Let it eat them alive. You kept handing out pieces of yourself to people who didn't even have the decency to say thank you. And they didn't ask you to give, but they took. Oh, they took. And every time you stayed, they learned they could do it again, and again, and again. Not because they didn't know they were hurting you, but because they knew you'd never leave. That's what you taught them. Every time you forgave without change. Every time you stayed without boundaries. Every time you gave love that didn't come with consequences. But now you're tired. You feel it, don't you? That emptiness that comes after giving too much. That hollow ache in your chest when you realize you're surrounded by people who only know your worth when they need something. That's not depression, kid. That's reality knocking on your skull, saying, wake the hell up. You weren't weak for loving hard. You were just blind. Blind to the game. Blind to the way people only value what they fear losing. And you made it too easy. You weren't a challenge. You weren't a mystery. You were the safety net, the emergency exit, the last option when everything else fell apart. And now that you've stepped back, now that you've gone quiet, they're confused. They're wondering why their punching bag ain't swinging back anymore. Let them wonder. Let them drown in it. You gave them every chance to love you right, to treat you like you mattered, but they were too busy feeding their ego to notice the fire in your chest burning out. They didn't care when you were silent. They didn't notice when you were breaking. So now they get nothing. No closure, no messages, no explanations. Just that cold, brutal silence. See, people always talk about closure, but what they really mean is control. They want to end things on their terms. They want to feel good about leaving you shattered, as long as it's wrapped in polite words and good luck texts. Screw that. You don't owe anyone closure when they couldn't even offer consistency. You don't owe calm to those who gave you chaos. You owe yourself peace. That's it. That's the only closure you'll ever need. And let me be real with you. It's gonna hurt. Pulling back, walking away, going cold. It's like ripping off skin you've outgrown. You'll miss them. You'll think about reaching out. You'll wonder if you're being too harsh. But remember this. The pain of loneliness is nothing compared to the pain of being used. At least when you're alone, you're free. Free from lies. Free from fake love. Free from wondering if today's the day they finally treat you right. They won't. They had that chance, and they blew it. And don't expect applause for taking your power back. You'll be the villain in their story. They'll say you changed, that you ghosted, that you're heartless. Let them talk. You ain't in the business of explaining yourself to people who only hear what makes them feel right. You're done playing the hero in a story that was never written for your happy ending. You write your own ending now. One where you stop chasing ghosts, where you stop begging to be seen. One where they have to live with the echo of your silence, while you walk through hell with your head held high. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only damn way out. You know what's funny? The way they act shocked when you finally change, like you flipped a switch overnight, like your silence came out of nowhere. They don't remember the 100 little betrayals, the ignored messages, the broken promises, the times they laughed at your pain, called you too sensitive, told you to move on while you were still picking up the pieces they shattered. Nah, they don't remember that part. But the moment you go cold, suddenly you're the villain. Suddenly you're selfish. And that's when you realize they never loved you. They loved the power they had over you. See, when you were available, they were comfortable. When you were loyal, they were lazy. They knew you'd be there, no matter what. And that's the trap. That's the prison. You thought love meant staying no matter how bad it got. But all it meant to them was that you were easy to replace until you weren't. You stop chasing and the whole game changes. They feel it. That silence, it's a mirror. It forces them to look at who they really are without your presence to distract them. And they hate that. Because for the first time, they can't blame you, can't guilt you, can't control you. All they have is the echo of your absence, and that echo don't lie. It screams, you lost something real. But let's talk about you for a second. Not the broken version, not the chastened version. The one that's rising now, the one that finally opened their eyes. You need to understand this. You are not hard to love. You were just trying to be loved by the wrong people. People who ain't got the emotional depth of a puddle. People who only show up when it's easy. People who can't love you because they don't even love themselves. You tried to water dead plants, kid. You poured your soul into people who had holes in their cups, and then blamed yourself when they stayed empty. But it ain't your job to fill them. Ain't your job to fix them. Your job is to protect your peace. Protect your heart. And stop showing up for people who wouldn't cross the street for you if you were dying in the cold. And now, you get to build again. But this time, you build different. You stop explaining yourself. Stop lowering your standards just to feel wanted. Stop letting people rent space in your heart who can't even spell the word loyalty. You walk different now. Head up, shoulders back, eyes forward. And if they can't handle that, let them choke on the dust you leave behind. No more begging, no more waiting, no more hoping they change. You've seen enough. You've been through enough. And you sure as hell deserve more. But you don't find more by going back. You find it by walking, like you know who the hell you are. And who are you? You're the one that got away, the one they'll never replace, the one they'll talk about in quiet regret at 3 a.m. when the fake love runs out and they're left facing the silence you left behind. They don't deserve to know you anymore, not the new you, not the version that rose from the wreckage they left behind. They don't get to hear your voice. They don't get to feel your warmth. That was a privilege. And they treated it like it was trash, like you were some backup plan, a pit stop, a safety net. But you ain't a convenience kid. You're the storm they never saw coming. And now that you've gone quiet, now that you've pulled your soul back from their hands, they're scared. Not because you yelled, not because you cursed, but because you disappeared. And deep down, they know they deserved it. You spent too damn long explaining your worth to people who were never listening. You cried in silence, hoping they'd notice the pain in your eyes. You let them walk all over your kindness, call it weakness, and then mock you when you finally had enough. But here's the thing. You were never weak for staying. You were strong, too strong. So strong that you carried the relationship, the friendship, the connection, all by yourself. You carried it until your back broke, and still they acted like they were the ones doing the heavy lifting. But not anymore. Now you walk different. You speak less. You protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. And the moment they realize they can't touch it anymore, that's the moment they finally see its value. Tragic, ain't it? How people only start caring when access gets denied. When the light switch flips off and they're left standing in the dark, wondering how they fumbled someone who would have done anything for them. Let them wonder. Let them sit with that silence. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them a damn explanation. Your silence is the consequence. Your absence is the answer. And if that's too much for them to handle, too bad. Should have treated you better when they had the chance. Should have loved you when your heart was open, not now that your doors are locked and the windows are boarded shut. You owe yourself everything you were begging them to give you. The love, the time, the effort. You were waiting on someone else to show up for you, but the truth is, you were the one you needed all along. That's the cold, hard fact. You're the hero. You're the savior. You're the light at the end of your own damn tunnel. And anyone who can't meet you with that same energy, they don't get a seat at your table. Hell, they don't even get a view. You stop chasing and you start living. You stop waiting and you start growing. And as you grow, they'll shrink. Their voices will get smaller. Their opinions won't sting. Their absence won't ache. You'll stop remembering the sound of their lies and start recognizing the strength in your own voice. This ain't about making them miss you. It's about making you remember who the hell you are. And who you are is not someone who begs to be loved, not someone who stays where they're barely tolerated, not someone who sacrifices their peace just to be included in someone else's half-hearted story. You're the whole story now. You're the plot twist. You're the one they'll wish they never lost. But it's too late. That chapter's closed. And what's ahead? That's for you to write. With hands that ain't shaking anymore, and a heart that ain't for sale. You ever realize how quiet they got when you stopped giving? How all of a sudden the conversations dried up, the calls disappeared, the fake affection vanished into the wind like it was never real? That wasn't coincidence. That was the truth, rising to the surface. A truth you refused to see while you were busy building bridges and writing apologies they didn't even bother to read. And now that you're gone, now that you ain't begging for space in their world, they don't know what to do. They're lost. But not because they lost you. They're lost because they lost control. You gave them the version of you that stayed up at 3 a.m. worrying about their silence. That kept checking your phone like their attention was oxygen. That made excuses for their distance and blamed yourself every time they pulled away. That version, it's dead, and they'll miss it. Not because they loved you, but because they loved having power over you. You were their fix, their constant, their comfort. And now that you've vanished, now that the calls go unanswered, now that you don't show up when they snap their fingers, they're starving. Let them starve. Let them sit in the hunger they created by taking you for granted. Let them feel what it's like to be on the outside, looking in, where you stood for so long, hoping, begging, breaking. Let them see how it feels when they're the ones left wondering. They're the ones with empty hands. They're the ones facing silence that don't come with a second chance. And maybe they'll post some sad little quote on social media about losing good people, or how everyone leaves. Don't fall for that trap. Don't get sentimental. Don't confuse guilt with change. They're not sorry they hurt you. They're sorry you stopped letting them. They're not missing the real you. They're missing the version of you that kept showing up no matter how bad they treated you. And that version, you buried it deep, where it belongs. See, there's a kind of pain that don't come from being alone. It comes from being surrounded by the wrong people. People who make you question your worth. People who smile while you drown. People who say, "I didn't mean it," after every cut they left on your soul. That pain, that's worse than loneliness. That's betrayal wearing perfume. And the second you stepped back, you stopped inhaling poison. That was the moment your healing started. Not when they apologized. Not when they begged. Not when they noticed. When you stopped chasing. And don't get it twisted. Healing don't mean smiling. It don't mean some corny movie moment where everything suddenly feels good. Healing is war. It's messy. It's lonely. It's nights where you question if you made the right choice. If walking away really meant freedom, or just another kind of pain. But here's the truth. There is no peace in going back to what broke you. There is no future in resurrecting the past. You don't climb out of hell just to sit by the fire again. So yeah, let them talk. Let them spin stories. Let them play victim. You stay quiet. Stay distant. Let your silence be your statement. Let your absence be the reminder that not everyone comes back when you realize what you lost. Some people disappear forever. And you're one of those people now. You don't return, you evolve. You ever sit in a room full of people and feel like you're the only one who's actually awake? The only one who gets it? Like you're surrounded by bodies moving on autopilot, all wearing masks they forgot to take off, smiling, nodding, laughing at nothing. And there you are in the corner, watching, just watching. You see every lie passing between their lips, every fake handshake, every look that lingers too long. But you don't say a word, not 'cause you're weak. Nah, it's 'cause you know talking won't fix nothing. See, real power, real control, it comes from silence, from patience, from seeing the whole damn board before you move a piece. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. The world doesn't care how much pain you've been through. It doesn't hand out awards for survival. You think anyone's gonna clap for you because you kept breathing while they were stabbing you in the back? Huh. No, kid. They expect you to break. They hope you lose your mind. They count on you snapping so they can look around and say, "See? He was the problem." So what do? You sit, you bleed, you cry inside your skull, but you don't scream, you don't beg, you just watch. 'Cause silence is power wrapped in patience. I ain't here to sell you hope. Hope is a scam. It's a leash for the weak. What I'm giving you is clarity, the kind of truth that cuts deeper than any blade. Look around you. Everybody's screaming to be seen, posting their pain online, showing their wounds for likes. Pathetic. Real strength? It's quiet. It don't need an audience. You think lions tweet before they hunt? No, they observe. They stalk. And when it's time, they strike so hard, the whole jungle goes silent. And you're a lion. You just forgot how to roar. You keep wondering why people walk all over you, why they lie to your face and laugh behind your back. You blame them, but let me be real with you. You let it happen. You showed your heart to snakes and cried when they bit you. You handed your loyalty to cowards and got shocked when they ran. You spoke your truth in rooms full of rats and got mad they used it against you. That's not betrayal. That's just you forgetting that wolves don't sit with sheep. You think being kind means being soft? You think being silent makes you invisible? Nah, it makes you dangerous. 'Cause people forget the quiet ones. They overlook them. They underestimate them. And when the time comes, when the silent man moves, he moves like a ghost through fire. No warnings, no mercy. Just consequences. Let me break it down for you. Emotion is a weapon. but only if you know how to use it. Otherwise, it's a liability. You love too loud, you get exploited. You care too quick, you get used. You forgive too easy, you get repeated. The world don't run on love. It runs on leverage, on power. And in this cold, rotten game, the one who watches without blinking wins. Not the loudest, not the flashiest. The one who waits and hits hard when it matters. You think people respect kindness? No, they expect it. They drain it. They come back to it like leeches, 'cause they know you'll never say no. That's your problem. You're scared of being alone, so you let everyone stay, even the ones who poison your peace. You call it loyalty. I call it suicide. But I know what you're feeling. The weight, the ache, that quiet rage boiling in your chest when no one listens, when no one sees you. I know. You walk through life like a loaded gun with the safety on. People push, people test, and you smile. You fake that peace, but deep down, there's a monster screaming to be let out. And let me tell you something. That monster, he's not evil. He's not wrong. He's you, tired of being prey. You want to know what power really is? It's walking away when they beg you to stay. It's cutting ties without explanations. It's ghosting the ones who drained you without looking back. Power is silence. Not 'cause you got nothing to say, but 'cause they don't deserve to hear you anymore. A silent man sees everything. He knows who's real, who's fake, who claps when he wins and who prays he fails. But he says nothing. He plays dumb. He lets them think they've fooled him. 'Cause one day, one cold day, he'll move. And when he does, oh, it's not going to be loud. It's going to be surgical, clean, brutal. A quiet reckoning that leaves no one the same. You ever notice how the quiet ones get mocked the most? Called weak, shy, awkward. Like silence is some kind of disease. But let me tell you something. Those loudmouths who never shut up, they're terrified of the silence. 'Cause silence exposes what they really are. Nothing but noise. White noise. A distraction. They talk so no one sees how hollow they are inside. But a silent man? He don't need to talk. His presence speaks. His eyes scream. And when the world finally hears him, it's too damn late. People mistake silence for weakness. They forget that snakes don't hiss before they strike. You sit back. You let them laugh. Let them lie. Let them betray. All the while, you memorize every move, every word, every fake smile. And when they least expect it, when they think you've moved on or broken down, you hit. Not to wound? No. You hit to end. Quietly, cleanly. No apologies, no justifications, just results. See, silence teaches you things words never could. It sharpens your instincts. It trains your mind to watch instead of react. While they run their mouths, you're collecting data. While they brag, you're calculating. While they betray, you're strategizing. You don't need a spotlight. You are the storm that builds in the dark. And when you move, you change everything. The problem with you? You feel too much. You forgive too fast. You keep trying to fix what was never your mess to fix. You pour yourself into broken people, hoping they'll finally see your worth. But they won't, and they never will. Because people don't change because of love. They change when it's too damn late. When the silence you gave them turns into absence. When your loyalty becomes distance. When your light stops shining for them. That's when they realize, but by then, they're already choking on the emptiness they created. You need to stop handing your peace to people who don't know what peace even feels like. You need to stop explaining yourself to people who already made up their minds. You don't owe them a damn thing. Not your words, not your presence, not your understanding. What you owe is you. The version of you that sat alone at night, questioning your worth, wondering why it always ends in pain. You owe him revenge, not the bloody kind, the silent kind, the kind where you rise while they rot in their regret. And that pain you feel, that deep, silent ache you carry like chains around your chest, that's your reminder. That's your trigger. That's the fire inside you begging to be fed. Don't numb it. Don't silence it. Use it. Pain is the most honest teacher in the world. It don't lie. It don't sugarcoat. It shows you who's real and who never was. It burns away the fake, the fragile, the weak. And what's left after the fire? That's you, the real you. You know why people keep disrespecting you? 'Cause you let them. You let them come back. You let them talk to you like nothing happened. You forgive with no consequences. And in this world, forgiveness without change is just permission. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And right now, you're teaching them that you'll accept betrayal, silence, lies, as long as they throw a sorry in your face. But a silent man learns. A silent man adapts. A silent man doesn't forget. He stores it. Every heartbreak, filed. Every lie, noted. Every fake friend, checked. He don't clap back. He don't start drama. He just disappears. And when he reappears, he's not the same. He's colder, sharper, smarter. And the ones who took him for granted, they look into his eyes and realize the man they used to know is gone. You think I'm trying to make you ruthless? No, I'm trying to make you free. You're shackled by emotions that ain't yours to carry, bound by guilt you didn't earn. You ain't here to save people who enjoy drowning. You're here to become what they never expected, a storm they can't control. And that storm, it brews in silence, builds in shadows. And when it hits, it tears down everything fake and leaves only the real. You ever seen a man snap quietly? No scream, no threat. Just a look in his eyes that says, it's over. That's power. That's what I'm handing you. That quiet, unstoppable rage that doesn't destroy you. It builds you, makes you disciplined, focused, cold, not dead, just untouchable. So start watching, start learning, start remembering. And when the time is right, don't say a word, just act. 'Cause the world don't need more noise. It needs consequences. And that, my silent friend, is where you come in. People don't value silence because it doesn't entertain them. It scares them. You see, they'd rather hear a lie dressed up pretty than sit in a room with the truth echoing in their heads. Silence holds up a mirror, and most people, they hate what they see. That's why they talk so damn much. That's why they fill their lives with noise, parties, friends, fake plans, empty conversations. It's all a distraction from who they really are. Nothing. And they hate you for not needing the same noise. They envy your stillness, even if they don't say it. Because being quiet in a loud world, that's rebellion. And rebellion scares cowards. But you've been playing small, dimming your light so others don't feel blind, biting your tongue so others don't feel exposed. That ends now. I'm not telling you to start shouting. I'm telling you to stop explaining. Stop making yourself digestible for people who can't handle the raw version of you. You owe no one your softness. Not after the things they said, not after the way they left when you needed them most. You were drowning. And they walked away with dry hands. That's all you need to know about who they are. You ever wonder why pain hits you harder than it hits them? Why betrayal crushes your chest while they sleep just fine? It's not weakness, it's depth. You feel deeper because you love deeper. You break harder because you commit harder. But the sad truth? The deeper you feel, the more alone you walk. 'Cause most people are shallow as puddles. They don't know how to bleed without screaming. You bleed in silence. You rebuild in the dark. And that's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous. You think they forgot you? No, they remember. Every word, everything you gave. But memory ain't the problem, it's ego. They know what they did. They just hope you'll stay quiet about it. They pray you'll never rise. 'Cause if you do, it means they were wrong. It means they lost someone real. And nothing terrifies a fake person more than losing someone authentic. That's why they'll never apologize. That's why they'll act like nothing happened. It's easier to play blind than admit they broke something priceless. But you gotta stop looking back. You keep peeking through a door that already slammed shut. You want closure. But real closure don't come from others. It comes from you. It's when you stop hoping for apologies. Stop waiting for change. It's when you accept that some people ain't broken. They were built that way. And trying to fix them, that's what broke you. So stop asking why. Stop digging through the ashes. There's nothing left to save. What you can do is become the man who never needs to ask again. The man who don't cry over locked doors. He builds his own damn house. No noise, no knock, just foundation and fire. A silent man is the most dangerous breed. Not because he's violent, but because he's awake. He sees it all. The manipulation, the patterns, the performances, and yet he plays along until he doesn't. One day, he just stops showing up, stops replying, stops caring, and that's when the world notices. Not when he screamed, but when he vanished. You know the sickest part? The people who made you feel replaceable, they'll come back, acting like nothing happened. They'll say they miss the old you, not 'cause they love you, but because they miss the control. They miss the version of you that settled for crumbs, the version that answered at 3 a.m., that forgave on command, that drowned silently while they danced. But you ain't that version anymore. You're not bitter, you're better, not louder, smarter, not colder, collected. And when they come knocking, let the silence answer. This world ain't fair, it never was. Good hearts get punished, honest people get played, loyal souls get shattered. But you can't let that turn you into them. You don't need to become a demon to survive hell. What you do need is discipline. Cold, quiet, deadly discipline. The kind that don't need revenge, just distance, just growth, just a level of self-respect so high they can't even reach you anymore. And listen closely, 'cause this part's important. The pain you're carrying, the weight on your chest, that ain't a curse. It's your reminder that you survived what tried to bury you, that you're still standing while others would have folded, that you've got scars, not wounds. Wounds bleed. Scars shine. Wear 'em. Own 'em. And don't you dare hide 'em for anyone. Let the world wonder why you're so silent now. Let 'em whisper. Let 'em guess. Don't clarify. Don't defend. Just keep building in silence, growing in silence, rising in silence. And when the time comes, act. Not for revenge, not for recognition, just for you. For the silent warrior who sat through storms and never screamed once. You want to know what silence really is? It's not peace, it's pressure. A storm held back by discipline. You walk into a room, quiet, steady, dead-eyed, and they feel it. Even if they don't say it. That weight in the air, that's you. That's years of betrayal locked behind your ribs. That's every scream you swallowed, every tear you buried, every rage you caged. They don't know what you're capable of, and they're lucky you ain't showing it. Not yet. But one day, you will. And it won't be loud. It won't be messy. It'll be surgical, ruthless, divine. People got this idea that power comes from domination, from shouting, flexing, hurting. But that's not power, that's desperation. True power, it's control of yourself, of your time, of your emotions. While they argue, you plan. While they post, you build. While they crumble under pressure, you breathe. That's the difference between them and you. They react. You wait. But don't get it twisted. Waiting ain't weakness. It's strategy. You ain't hiding, you're watching. You ain't broken, you're loading. You're the storm they never saw coming because they were too busy laughing at your silence. But silence is never empty. It's full of answers, full of pain, full of comebacks so lethal they don't need words, just results. You see, when you move in silence, people assume you're doing nothing. Let them sleep on you. Let them think you gave up. That's the beauty of the quiet path. It don't come with applause. It comes with power. And when you finally speak, it's not going to be in words. It's going to be in success, in strength, in distance so sharp it slices through their egos. You know what scares them most? Not the man who yells, but the one who's calm, while everything's burning, calm, when he's got every right to rage, calm, because he's already decided what comes next. And that decision, it ain't up for debate. That's you now. Not the beggar, not the chaser, not the emotional wreck. You're the calm storm, the one who watched it all, felt it all. And now, you move. Let me tell you a little secret they don't teach you. Not in school, not in books, not on those fake motivational posters. Ready? Here it is. People don't change for love. They change when they feel loss. Real, brutal, permanent loss. When the silence finally becomes louder than your presence. When your absence becomes their hell. That's when they open their eyes. But by then, you've already walked away. You've already outgrown the place they kept you caged in. And you will be tempted, oh yeah, tempted to answer, to explain, to give them one last taste of your kindness. Don't. Silence is your closure. It says everything their ears can't handle. It tells them, I saw everything. I stayed quiet. And now, I'm gone. For good. You don't need a final word. Your distance is the final word. You ever wonder why you keep attracting the same pain? Same types of people. Same lessons dressed in different faces. It's not fate. It's your standards. You keep lowering them out of loneliness. You keep handing out loyalty to people who treat it like it's nothing. That ain't noble. That's self-destruction. But now you're done. No more rescuing. No more explaining. No more accepting less just to feel loved. You'd rather walk alone in silence than be surrounded by parasites in noise. And when you finally choose yourself, truly, oh, they'll notice. The silence you leave behind, it'll haunt them. They'll remember your patience, your kindness, your loyalty, and they'll choke on the fact that they mistook all that for weakness. But don't you dare turn back. That's how they trap you. With guilt, with nostalgia, with fake promises. Don't buy it. They don't miss you. They miss the version of you that needed them. But that version, he's gone, buried in the silence, and what rose in his place is untouchable. So what now, huh? What comes after the pain? After the silence, you build. not out of revenge, not to prove them wrong, but to honor the version of you that almost didn't make it, the one who sat in the dark, crying in silence, praying for answers that never came. You don't owe the world your pain. You owe yourself a rebirth. No more begging, no more hoping, no more suffering in silence while they feast on your kindness. You walk, you grind, you disappear. And one day, when the dust settles, they'll look around and realize they lost someone they'll never find again, and you won't even flinch. Let me paint you a picture. There's a man sitting alone at 3 a.m. No noise, no phone buzzing, no fake friends knocking. Just him, his thoughts, his regrets, his silence. Now, the old him, he'd be dying inside, craving someone to call, craving a message, craving a sign. But the new him, the real him, he loves it. He breathes in that silence like oxygen. Because now he sees it for what it is. Not a curse, but a cleansing. That man, that's you, or who you're about to become. Because here's the brutal truth. Silence ain't loneliness. It's freedom. It's detox. It's where you shed all the layers the world forced on you. The expectations, the fake smiles, the compromises. In silence, there's no one left to lie to, not even yourself. You finally sit face to face with what you are and what you refused to become. That's where strength is born. Not in gyms, not in quotes. In those damn silent nights when you stared your own demons in the eye and didn't blink. You want to know why you feel different now? Why you don't vibe with the same people? Why conversations feel shallow? Why parties feel empty? It's because you've outgrown the noise. You've leveled up. And with that growth comes grief. Yeah, grief. You mourn the old you, the naive you, the too trusting, too giving, too loving you. But don't cry for him. He had to die for you to survive. See, pain rewires you. Betrayal recalibrates you. And silence rebuilds you. You're not antisocial. You're anti-bullshit. You're not bitter. You're boundaried. You ain't broken. You're bulletproof. You just finally stopped explaining your worth to people who never deserved to know it in the first place. And let me tell you something about those people. They'll come back. Oh, they always do. Like moths to the fire they tried to snuff out. They'll call your growth attitude, your distance coldness, your silence. They'll call it immaturity. But deep down, they know what it is. It's power. It's control. It's the fact that you're no longer predictable, no longer soft, no longer waiting. You're done. They used to know how to break you, didn't they? All it took was a little silence from them and your whole world would collapse. You'd overthink. You'd beg. You'd chase. Not anymore. Now their silence, it don't scare you. You thrive in it. You became it. You turned the very weapon they used against you into your armor. And don't get it twisted. This new version of you, It ain't heartless, it's just healed. Not the type of healing that makes you soft. No, the kind that makes you dangerous. 'Cause now, you don't react. You don't justify. You don't need. That's real healing. When you could ruin someone, but you don't. You just walk away, calm, quiet, unfazed. Let them drown in the silence they tried to bury you in. You've heard it before. Why are you so quiet? Let me give you the real answer. Because I'm watching. I'm watching who shows up without me begging. I'm watching who claps when I win without envy. I'm watching who disappears when I'm down. And most of all, I'm watching myself. Because the old me, he let people slide. He gave too many chances. He stayed too long. But now I don't even announce my exit. I just leave. You need to understand. Not everybody deserves access to you. Your peace is sacred now. Your time is currency. And your silence, that's your filter. It weeds out the ones who only came for the benefit, not the bond. So, stay quiet. Stay calm. Stay distant. Watch who starts reaching when you stop speaking. They say the loudest one in the room is the weakest. You know why? Because real pain don't perform. Real strength don't need to be seen. It moves in silence, like shadows, like ghosts. And when it strikes, it leaves a mark that don't all fade. That's what you are now. You ain't just another name in the crowd. You're the silence that makes them uncomfortable. The presence that don't beg for attention. The storm that doesn't warn. You see, some people are addicted to the sound of their own excuses. But you're addicted to progress. Not the flashy kind. Not the look at me kind. The quiet kind. The kind where you grind in the dark and let the results speak volumes. No explanations, no warnings, just facts. They thought you were weak 'cause you were quiet. Nah, you were calculating, you were observing. And when you move, it ain't gonna be subtle. It's gonna shake the ones who thought they'd never need to respect you. It's gonna haunt the ones who thought you'd always be available. That's what silence does. It lingers. It echoes. It teaches. And when that day comes, the day you finally act, you won't say a single word. You'll just become everything they thought you never could be. You ever wonder what it does to a man, watching everyone he loved slowly morph into strangers? Not in some dramatic movie kind of way. Nah, quietly, bit by bit. They stop checking in, stop caring, start acting like your pain's a burden. And you sit there, watching it happen, thinking maybe it's you. Maybe you're too much. Maybe you're the problem. You break yourself into silence, hoping they'll stick around if you just stop needing so much. But they still leave. And that's when the truth finally sinks in. They were never yours to to lose. You just mistook their presence for loyalty. Big mistake. You gotta understand, most people don't want you. They want what you give, your energy, your patience, your validation. The second you stop serving their comfort, they vanish. So when they do, let them. Stop running after ghosts. Stop holding doors open for people who looked you in the eye while slamming them shut. Your silence ain't rejection. It's revelation. It's showing the world who you are when you're done being used. You think you're broken? You think your pain makes you weak? Nah. That pain, it's your certification. It means you survived where most would have snapped. You loved where most would have turned bitter. You stayed real while they played pretend. That ain't weakness. That's warrior blood. You just never had the right general to tell you that. So here I am. One lunatic talking to another. But I ain't selling you peace. I'm selling you clarity. See, people love to call you cold when you stop warming their hands. But you were never cold. You were on fire. They just sat too close and got burned. And instead of taking responsibility, they called you the problem. That's what cowards do. They villainize the silent man because he don't give them what they crave. Attention, chaos, reaction. But you figured it out. You finally saw the pattern. The way they test your limits, then play victim when you snap. So now you stopped snapping? You stopped caring? That's real danger. A man who ain't moved by guilt anymore? Untouchable. Let them talk. Let them spin their stories. Let them whisper behind your back. That's all they got. Noise. You've got something stronger. You've got movement, growth, discipline, revenge wrapped in ambition. And when you rise, you won't need to say a damn thing. Your silence will scream, I made it without you. I healed without closure. I became everything you thought I never would. You ever see what happens when a man walks away without a goodbye? It shatters egos. They expect a scene, tears, begging. But when you leave silent, it haunts them. They replay every word, trying to figure out where it went wrong. But you don't owe M answers. You owe yourself peace. And peace don't come from confrontation. It comes from disappearance. You want to change your life? Here's the formula. Shut up. Work. Watch. Cut off what drains you. Don't explain. Don't announce. Don't warn. Just move. Quietly. Like a shadow with a vendetta. Let your absence teach what your presence couldn't. Let your silence say, you had a king, but you treated him like a jester. Because truth is, no one listens to the man who speaks too much, but the one who watches, the one who waits, the one who lets his actions crush egos and expose masks. He owns the room, even when he's not in it. You spent too long handing swords to people who stabbed you with them. You spent too long pouring into cups that had holes in them. But now your hands are full with your own damn power. And those same people, they'll miss you. Not just the laughs, not just the warmth. They'll miss the stability you were for them while they played unstable. They'll miss the way you held them together while they tore you apart. But it's too late now. You don't get to hurt a man like you and expect a reset. You don't get to mock his silence and then fear his distance. You don't get to be loud in betrayal and beg for quiet in regret. So don't go back. Don't explain. Don't soften. Become what the silence made you. Cold, focused, strategic, not evil. Evolved, not heartless, healed. And when the dust settles, when they finally understand what they lost, let that silence speak for you. You know what your problem is? You still believe in people. You still think they didn't mean it. That maybe, just maybe, they didn't know what they were doing when they crossed that line the first time. But I've got news for you, kid. They knew. They always knew. And if they did it once, they'll do it again. You want to sit there and tell yourself they regret it? That they've changed? That somehow, by some miracle, they suddenly woke up with a conscience? The only thing that changed is you. You got weaker. You got softer. You started making excuses for the same people who wouldn't hesitate to slit your throat if it meant saving their own skin. Let me explain something to you. People don't just accidentally betray you. No one trips and falls into backstabbing. No one accidentally breaks you, shatters your trust, and leaves you bleeding in the dirt. That takes intent. That takes effort. And do you really think someone who put that kind of effort into hurting you is just gonna wake up one day and say, "Oh, I feel bad now"? No, kid. Regret is a luxury for those who have a soul to begin with. And those people, the ones who played you, lied to you, smiled in your face while they plotted behind your back, they never had one. You ever hear a snake apologize for biting? No, you want to know why? Because that's what snakes do. It's in their nature. And the biggest mistake you ever made was thinking they were something else. Thinking they were better. Thinking that just because you wouldn't do it to them, they wouldn't do it to you. But that's the thing about weak hearts in a cruel world. They always assume everyone else plays by the same rules. But let me tell you something, sweetheart. There are no rules. See, you keep wondering why they did it. You replay the betrayal in your head over and over again, looking for something, anything that makes sense. Maybe you weren't good enough. Maybe you should have tried harder. Maybe, just maybe, it was your fault. That's the lie they want you to believe. Because the second you start thinking you're the problem, you stop seeing them for what they really are. And that's how they win. That's how they get to do it again. I want you to listen to me very carefully, because this part's important. You don't owe anyone an explanation for cutting them off. You don't owe them a second chance. You don't owe them your forgiveness. You think walking away makes you heartless? No, it makes you smart. Because the second you let them back in, the second you hand them the knife again, they will use it. And this time, they'll make sure you don't get back up. Let me tell you how people work. The first time they cross that line, they test you. They watch. They wait. They want to see what you'll do. Will you fight back? Will you set them straight? Or will you hesitate? Just for a moment. That moment of hesitation is all they need. Because if they can get away with it once, they know they can do it again. And every time after that, it gets easier. The lie gets smoother. The excuses sound sweeter. Before you know it, you're standing in the middle of the wreckage wondering how you let it happen again. But I'll tell you why. It's because you let them convince you that you needed them. That somehow, without them, you'd be nothing. That's the trick, see? That's the magic act. They break you just enough to make you think you can't stand without them. And then they stand back and watch you beg for the same pain they gave you. It's sick. It's twisted. But it works. And do you know why it works? Because you let it. Because you keep seeing the best in people who've already shown you the worst in them. Stop. Stop hoping. Stop waiting. Stop thinking that one day they're gonna wake up and realize what they did to you. They won't. They don't lose sleep over it. They don't lay awake at night, drowning in regret. No, that's your job. That's your punishment for being too trusting, too kind, too human. And they move on. They find their next victim. They sharpen their knives. And if you let them, they'll come back to you when they run out of new toys to break. So what are you gonna do? Sit there and let it happen? Let them back in? Hand them the blade and hope that this time, maybe this time, they won't use it? Or are you gonna wake up? Are you gonna stand up, look them in the eyes and say, never again? Because that's the thing, kid. The moment you decide you've had enough, the moment you stop making excuses, stop giving chances, stop letting them play you like a puppet, that's the moment you win. Because they need you to be weak. They need you to doubt yourself. They need you to stay broken. Because if you don't, if you actually heal, if you actually walk away, then they lose their power over you. And nothing terrifies them more than a person they can no longer control. So remember this. They did it once. They'll do it again. And the only thing standing between you and another knife in the back is your ability to finally say, enough. You want to know what separates the strong from the weak. The strong learn. They don't just get burned and cry about it. They remember the fire. They don't stick their hand back in the flames and hope it won't hurt the second time. No, they adapt. They change. They become something else. But you're still standing in the same fire, hoping it'll turn into a warm embrace. It won't. Let me tell you something about pain. It's a lesson, not a life sentence, but only if you're smart enough to learn from it. Only if you're willing to stop lying to yourself. Only if you stop pretending that people who chose to hurt you deserve another opportunity to do it again. See, I know why you struggle. I know why you hesitate. Because deep down, you don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to accept that some people are just bad, that they'll never change, that no matter how much love you pour into them, they'll never be anything more than what they are. Users, liars, betrayers. You think if you just love them enough, if you just give them another chance, maybe they'll see your worth. But they won't. Because the truth is, they already saw your worth. And they exploited it. They used it against you. And they will do it again. You don't want to believe me? Fine. Go ahead. Give them another chance. Let them back in. Watch how quickly they go right back to their old ways. Watch how easily they slip into the same patterns, the same manipulation, the same empty apologies and crocodile tears. And when it happens, when they betray you again, don't act surprised. Don't sit there and say, I never thought they'd do it again. Because deep down, you knew. You always knew. But you chose to ignore the signs. You chose to believe the lie because it was easier than facing the truth. And that's the real reason you keep getting hurt. It's not because they're so clever or so good at fooling you. No. It's because you refuse to let yourself see them for what they are. You keep painting devils as angels and wondering why your heaven keeps turning into hell. You keep picking up broken glass and wondering why your hands keep bleeding. You keep handing people the same knife they used to stab you and expecting a hug in return. Wake up. I want you to think about something. If a person really regretted hurting you, would they have done it in the first place? Regret isn't something that magically appears after they've already destroyed you. It's either there before they act, or it never existed at all. People don't suddenly wake up one day and feel bad for the damage they caused. No. What they feel bad about is losing their control over you. They don't miss you. They miss what they could take from you. They don't regret their actions. They regret that you finally started seeing through them. And that's why they come back. That's why they beg. Why they cry. Why they suddenly act like they care. Not because they're sorry, but because they're afraid. Afraid that they won't find another fool like you. Afraid that the supply they were leeching off is about to run dry. Afraid that for the first time, you're done playing their game. So let me ask you, are you? Are you done? Are you finally ready to walk away? Or are you still clinging to the fantasy that this time, it'll be different? Let me save you the suspense. It won't. It never is. The only thing that changes is how much deeper they cut the next time around. And trust me, they will cut deeper. They'll make sure this time you don't get up. Because the worst thing you can do to someone like that is show them that their games don't work on you anymore. That's when they get dangerous. That's when they try to break you beyond repair. And if you let them back in, if you open that door even a fraction, they will walk through it with a hammer, ready to smash whatever's left of you into dust. And that's on you. Because this time, you won't be able to say you didn't see it coming. You won't be able to claim ignorance. You won't be able to play the victim. Because now, you know better. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna sit there, making excuses for the same people who wouldn't hesitate to leave you in ruins? Are you gonna keep breaking yourself just to make them comfortable? Are you gonna let them keep feeding off your kindness like parasites until there's nothing left of you but a hollow shell? Or are you gonna stand up? Are you gonna cut them off? Are you gonna walk away and never look back? Because let me tell you, the second you finally decide to be done, the second you stop waiting for an apology that'll never come, that's the second you start winning. That's the second you take back your power. Because the truth is, the moment they crossed that line the first time, they made their choice. And now, you make yours. So decide. Are you gonna keep playing the fool? Or are you finally gonna say, enough is enough? Enough is enough. That's the phrase you need to tattoo into your mind. Burn it into your soul. Let it echo in your chest. Every time you feel that weak little urge to forgive them, to open the door just a crack, to let them crawl back in with their same tired apologies. You have to remember, when they hurt you, they weren't sorry. Not then. Not when they made the choice to cross that line. Not when they watched the life drain out of your eyes. Not when they walked away like you were nothing but a loose end to be tied up. That's what you were to them. An option. A tool. Something they could use when they needed you and discard when they didn't. They didn't see you as a person with a heart, with loyalty, with love to give. No, they saw you as an opportunity, a resource. And when they bled you dry, they moved on without a second thought. That's the truth, and I need you to let it sink in. No sugarcoating, no excuses, no pretending they were just going through something or that they didn't know better. They knew. They always knew. And they did it anyway. That's what makes it unforgivable. Because it wasn't an accident. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a decision. They decided to betray you. They decided to take advantage of you. And the only thing stopping them from doing it again is you. But see, that's the part you keep getting wrong. You keep thinking, if you just explain yourself better, if you just show them how much they hurt you, if you just love them enough, they'll finally understand. That they'll wake up and feel guilty. But let me tell you something. People like that. They don't feel guilt. They feel entitlement. They feel like they deserve another chance. Like you owe them the privilege of being in your life after they proved they didn't deserve it. And the second you start bending, the second you start entertaining their sob stories and fake remorse, you've already lost. Because now they know they can get away with it. Now they know you're still weak. And that's the difference between people like you and people like them. You have a heart. You have a conscience. You care. But them, they only care about what they can take. And the worst part, they know you care. They know you still want to believe in them. And they will use that against you every single time. You ever notice how they only show remorse when they start losing their grip on you? How they suddenly turn into the most apologetic, self-reflective person. The moment you threaten to walk away, that's not regret. That's damage control. That's them realizing their supply is about to run out and scrambling to keep you on their leash just a little longer. And you fall for it. Every single time. But tell me something. What has it gotten you? Where has all that forgiveness led you? Are you happy? Are you at peace? Or are you sitting there drained, exhausted, wondering why you feel like a shell of yourself? Because that's what happens when you keep giving to people who only take. They don't just hurt you, they deplete you. They hollow you out until you don't even recognize yourself anymore. And the worst part? They don't care. They never did. So stop. Stop waiting for them to wake up. Stop hoping for an apology that will never come. Stop letting them string you along with their half-hearted promises and empty words. Because words mean nothing without action. And what have their actions shown you? What have they proven to you? That they're sorry? That they've changed? No. They've only proven that they know how to manipulate you. That they know what to say, what to do, how to twist the knife just right so that you'll keep crawling back. And as long as you keep coming back, they'll keep playing the same game. The only way to win? Stop playing. Cut them off. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Rip them out of your mind like a parasite that's been feeding on you for too long, because that's exactly what they are. A parasite. They don't add anything to your life. They don't bring you peace or love or security, number. They bring you pain, uncertainty, and chaos. They make you question yourself. They make you doubt your worth. They make you think you're the problem, when in reality, the only problem was that you let them stay in your life for far too long. And don't you dare feel guilty about walking away. Don't you dare let them make you feel like you're the bad guy for choosing yourself for once. Because that's what they'll do. They'll call you selfish. They'll call you heartless. They'll say you're overreacting, that you're being dramatic, that you should just let it go. But you know what I say? Let it go. Let them go. Let them go so far from your life that they don't even exist in your world anymore. Because people like that, they don't deserve access to you. They don't deserve your time, your love, your loyalty. They forfeited that the moment they chose to betray you. And I don't care who they are, friend, family, lover, it doesn't matter. Betrayal is betrayal. And once someone shows you what they're capable of, believe them. Don't make the mistake of thinking you can fix them. You're not their savior. You're not responsible for their brokenness. And it is not your job to keep setting yourself on fire just to keep them warm. So here's the truth, the ugly, unfiltered truth. You have two choices. Keep letting them back in. Keep making excuses. Keep breaking your own heart just to keep them in your life. Or walk away. And when I say walk away, I mean really walk away. No lingering, no second chances, no checking up on them to see if they're doing okay. They didn't care when they left you bleeding, so why should you care how they're doing now? And if you think cutting them off is cruel, then let me remind you of something. They weren't kind to you. They weren't gentle with your heart. They weren't careful with your trust. So why should you be soft with them? They made their choice. Now make yours. Because if they cross that line once, they'll do it again. And the only question left is, are you gonna let them? You want to know the hardest truth of all? The one that cuts deeper than any betrayal? Deeper than any lie? Deeper than the cold realization that you meant nothing to them? It's this. You let it happen. I know. That stings, doesn't it? You don't want to hear that. You want to believe you were powerless. That you were just a victim, that you didn't have a choice, but you did. You always did. And that's what makes it hurt even more. Because deep down, you saw the signs. You saw the red flags. You felt the gut-wrenching moments where something inside you screamed, something isn't right. And what did you do? You ignored it. You silenced that voice. You chose to believe in them despite all the evidence telling you not to. And that's the part you have to accept if you're ever going to move forward. Because as long as you keep blaming them, as long as you keep pointing fingers at how cruel, how selfish, how heartless they were, you'll never truly be free. Because guess what? There will always be people like them in the world. People who lie, who manipulate, who use others like stepping stones. You can't change them, but you can change yourself. You can stop allowing it. You can stop handing out second chances like candy to people who don't even deserve a first one. You can stop pretending that they hold the power when, in reality, it's been in your hands this entire time. Because the truth is, every time you let them back in, every time you give them another chance, another opportunity to prove they're not who they showed you they are, you're not just betraying yourself. You're teaching them. You're teaching them that it's okay to hurt you. You're showing them that they can cross the line, step over your boundaries, shatter your trust, and all they have to do is say the right words, shed the right number of tears, and you'll fold. And once they know that, once they see how easy it is to manipulate you, you will be their favorite target. Because that's what you are to them, a target. You think they see you as a person? No. They see you as a weakness they can exploit. They see you as someone who's too soft, too forgiving, too unwilling to do what needs to be done. And that's why they keep coming back. Not because they love you, not because they miss you, but because they know you'll let them. And as long as you let them, as long as you refuse to close the door and lock it behind them, they'll keep coming through it, each time with a sharper knife, each time with a crueler game. And the only way to stop it, the only way to finally break free, you have to be done, not halfway done. Not I'll block them for a little while and see if they change done. No, I mean really done. The kind of done where their name doesn't even exist in your world anymore. The kind of done where their number is deleted, their messages are unread, their apologies are nothing but empty noise in the background of your new life. Because if you give them any opening, any chance, they will take it. They will test you. And the second you hesitate, the second you let nostalgia or guilt or misplaced kindness cloud your judgment, you've already lost. You think walking away is cruel? You think cutting people off is heartless? No. What's cruel is allowing yourself to be used. What's heartless is betraying yourself over and over again just to keep someone who has already shown you they don't deserve you. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them a chance to explain. You don't owe them anything, because when they betrayed you, when they looked you in the eyes and chose to cross that line anyway, they made it clear you never mattered to them. So why should they matter to you now? You ever notice how people only call you cold or selfish when you stop letting them take advantage of you? The second you put up boundaries, the second you say enough, suddenly you're the bad guy. Isn't that funny? Where was all that concern when they were hurting you? Where was their guilt when they were breaking you? Where was their conscience when they watched you suffer because of their actions? It didn't exist. And it still doesn't. They don't care that they hurt you. They only care that they lost control over you. So stop feeling guilty. Stop feeling like you owe them anything. You don't owe loyalty to people who disrespected yours. You don't owe forgiveness to people who took your kindness and spat on it. You don't owe an explanation to people who never bothered to explain themselves when they were tearing you apart. The only person you owe something to is yourself. And what you owe yourself is freedom. Because the truth is, they didn't just cross the line once. No, that first betrayal, that was just the beginning. They tested you. They saw how much they could get away with. And when you forgave them, when you let them back in, that was all the proof they needed. Proof that you were someone they could manipulate. Proof that they could do it again and again and again, and you'd still be there, waiting with open arms, hoping they'd be different this time. But they won't be different. They'll just be smarter. They'll just learn how to hide their lies better, how to twist their words in a way that makes you second guess yourself, how to turn the tables so that suddenly you're the one apologizing. You're the one begging. You're the one feeling guilty for reacting to the pain they caused. That's the game. And as long as you keep playing, you will keep losing. So let me ask you, one last time, are you finally done? Are you finally going to stop betraying yourself for people who would never do the same for you? Or are you going to keep handing them the same knife they stabbed you with, hoping that one day they'll decide to put it down? Because let me tell you something, they won't. They will take that knife and they will use it. And this time, they'll make sure you don't get up. And that's what they want, isn't it? To make sure you don't get up. To make sure that when they're done with you, when they've sucked the last bit of life out of you, there's nothing left. No fight, no resistance, no will to rise. Because if you stay down, if you stay broken, then they win. And that's what this is about. It's not love. It's not regret. It's not some tragic misunderstanding where they didn't mean to hurt you. No, it's control. It's always been about control. And the second you understand that, the second you see them for what they truly are, you realize you were never in a relationship, never in a friendship, never in anything real. No, you were in a game, a sick, twisted game where the only rule was, how much can they take before you finally snap? And you played your role perfectly, didn't you? You let them. You let them take everything. Your time, your energy, your trust, your sanity, and they drained you dry, piece by piece, smiling while they did it. Then when you were at your lowest, when you had nothing left to give, they threw you away like trash. And now they come back. Why? Because they see you standing up. They see you healing. They see you realizing that you never needed them in the first place. And that scares them. Because the moment you see through their lies, the moment you understand what they really are, they lose all power over you. So they come back with their apologies, their excuses, their empty words dripping with the same poison they fed you before. And they watch, they wait. Because if you let them back in, if you forgive them, then they win. Again. And this time, they'll make sure you don't get another chance to walk away. They'll break you in a way that you don't recover from. Because that's what they do. They take, and they take, and they take. And the second you have nothing left, they leave. Then, when you finally start to rebuild, when you finally start to breathe again, they come back and pretend they've changed. But it's never about changing. It's about making sure you never get stronger than them. Because the moment you do, the moment you finally say, I don't need you anymore, they become powerless. And they can't handle that. So tell me, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep letting them win? Keep letting them rewrite the story? Keep letting them convince you that there's something they're not? Or are you going to wake up? Are you going to look them in the eyes and finally say, no more? Because that's the only way this ends. You don't get closure. You don't get a moment where they finally admit they were wrong, where they break down in tears and beg for your forgiveness in a way that actually means something. No, that's a fantasy. The reality is, they'll never admit what they did to you. They'll never take responsibility. They'll never feel guilt, because that would require a heart, and people like that, they don't have one. So stop waiting. Stop hoping. Stop thinking there's some magical moment where everything will suddenly make sense, where all the pain they put you through will be justified, where you'll finally understand why they did what they did. You won't. Because there is no reason, there is no excuse, there is no justification for what they did to you. They hurt you because they could, because they wanted to. And the only way to make sure it never happens again, walk away and never look back. Because the truth is, they did cross the line, and they will do it again, unless you finally find the strength to end the cycle. And that's what you have to understand. It is a cycle, a pattern, repeating itself over and over like a snake eating its own tail. And you've been caught in the middle of it, convinced that this time, something would be different. But nothing changes. Nothing ever changes. Because people like them, they don't evolve. They don't wake up one morning with a conscience. They don't suddenly see the damage they've done and decide to become better. No, they remain exactly as they are, calculating, self-serving, hollow. They take and they take. And when there's nothing left, they move on to the next victim. And yet, you still sit there, staring at your phone, waiting for a message that will never come, waiting for an apology that will never be real, waiting for a moment of clarity that will never arrive. Because here's the truth. The apology you want, it's not coming. The closure you think you need, it doesn't exist. The justice you're hoping for, it won't happen. Because people like them, they don't lose sleep over what they did. They don't spend nights regretting the pain they caused. No, that's your job. That's your punishment for caring too much, for trusting too deeply, for believing in a soul that never existed in the first place. And that's the part that burns, doesn't it? That you gave so much of yourself to someone who was never capable of giving anything back. That you invested your time, your heart, your love into something that was never real. And now, all you're left with is a handful of broken memories and a voice in your head whispering, what was it all for? But that's the wrong question. The question isn't, what was it for? The question is, what are you going to do now? Are you going to sit in the ruins, sifting through the ashes of something that was never meant to last? Or are you going to rise? Are you going to walk away and let them rot in the grave they dug for themselves? Because let me tell you something. When you finally leave, when you finally stop giving them access to your mind, your energy, your life, that's when they lose. That's when all their little mind games, all their manipulation, all their attempts to break you crumble into nothing. Because the only power they ever had was the power you gave them. And that's the part you don't want to admit, isn't it? That they didn't control you, you let them. That they didn't steal your peace, you handed it to them. That they didn't just break your heart, you gave it to them, knowing damn well they never had the hands to hold it. And that's what eats at you in the quiet moments, in the dead of night, when the world is silent, and the only voice left is your own. The realization that you saw the warning signs and ignored them, that you excused their lies, justified their actions, allowed the betrayal to happen right in front of you. And now you have two choices. You can let that realization destroy you. Let it chain you to the past, keep you trapped in a loop of self-hatred and regret. Or you can use it. You can let it fuel you. Let it be the fire that burns away every last trace of weakness, every last ounce of naivety, every last illusion you had about who they were. Because once you see the truth, really see it, there's no going back. There's no more second guessing. No more, maybe they'll change. No more, what if I just try harder? No. That part of you, it dies here. Because the moment you truly understand what they are, the moment you finally stop pretending that there's anything worth saving, that's the moment you win. And don't you dare feel guilty about it. Don't you dare let them or anyone else tell you that walking away is selfish, that cutting them off is cruel. Because where was that concern when they were tearing you apart? Where was all that moral high ground when they were lying to you, using you, betraying you? No, the time for mercy is over. The time for understanding is over. This is about survival now. This is about standing up and saying, I refuse to be a victim anymore. Because the truth is, they never expected you to leave. They never thought you had it in you. They were so sure that they had broken you beyond repair, so convinced that no matter how many times they crossed the line, you'd still be there, waiting with open arms. And when they realize that you're done, that you finally had enough, that's when you'll see their true nature. That's when the mask slips. Because the moment they see you slipping through their fingers, the moment they realize they no longer have control over you, that's when they panic. That's when they start the begging. the love bombing, the sudden declarations of regret, not because they mean it, not because they actually feel anything, but because they're losing their grip. And this is where you need to be strong. This is where you need to hold the line and not let them back in, because they will try. Oh, they will try. They will play every card, use every trick, say every word they know will pull at your heartstrings. And if you're not careful, if you're not ready, you will fall right back into the trap. And then it starts all over again. The cycle, the pain, the betrayal, the regret. So tell me, isn't it time to break free? Isn't it time to finally say enough? Isn't it time to stop waiting for them to change and start changing yourself instead? Because the only thing standing between you and freedom is you. The moment you decide you've had enough, that's the moment you take your power back. That's the moment they become nothing. And trust me, nothing is exactly what they deserve. So walk away. And this time, don't look back. You ever sit in silence and feel like the walls are watching you? Like the shadows are whispering your name? That ain't paranoia, sweetheart. That's awareness. That's pain sitting beside you, cross-legged, staring you in the eyes, reminding you that it never left. See, most people, they run from that silence. They drown it out with noise, fake laughs, and temporary people who vanish the second things get real. But not you. You're still here. And you know what that tells me? You've lost something. You've bled for something. And now you're waking up to a world that don't give a damn about what broke you. Good. Because loss, that's the only real teacher left in this twisted world. Nothing hits harder. Nothing rewires a man's soul quicker. Not love, not success, not hope. Loss. When everything you cared about gets ripped out of your chest and you're standing there, hollow, gasping for something to believe in, that's when the mask comes off. That's when you find out what's real. You ever see a man lose his family? Watch the light leave his eyes like a switch was flipped? He don't smile the same after that. He don't dream the same. 'Cause now he knows the truth. That everything can vanish in seconds and the world won't even blink. But that same man, if he survives that, if he gets up the next day and breathes through the weight sitting on his chest, he becomes dangerous. Not the kind of dangerous that shoots up places. No. The kind of dangerous that stops waiting on anyone. The kind of dangerous that builds a throne out of rock bottom. You looking for comfort? Turn around. This ain't that kind of conversation. I'm not here to patch up your wounds. I'm here to rip them open and show you what they mean. You lost something? Good. You needed to. 'Cause that soft version of you, that gullible fool that thought the world owed him peace, that version had to die. And what's left now? This bitter, angry, cold shell of a person? That's who's gonna make it. That's who's gonna take the pain and twist it into power You don't trust anyone anymore, do you? Good. That trust? That's what got you hurt in the first place. You gave people keys to your heart like it was candy, and they took turns breaking in and vandalizing the place. Now, it's boarded up. Now, it's quiet. Now, it's real. Don't open that door for anyone who ain't earned it with blood and patience. See, people don't change when they're comfortable. They change when they're desperate, when their back's against the wall, when everything they counted on collapses. That's when they stop pretending. That's when they get honest. And if you're here, if you're still breathing after everything they did to you, you've already survived the worst. Now it's just about what you do with the ashes. You ain't weak, kid. You're wounded. There's a difference. Weak men quit. Weak men fold. Wounded men, they limp forward with a fire in their chest. And you've got enough fire to burn this whole city down if you wanted. But here you are now, still trying to find something to believe in. That's noble. That's stupid, but noble. Look around. All these people chasing validation, chasing attention. They want love without loyalty, power without sacrifice. They post pictures like everything's perfect, but they cry themselves to sleep. You've been in the dark so long you started talking to the shadows. You don't wear a mask, you are the mask. And that makes you something rare. But let me be real with you, brutally real. No one's coming to save you. No one's gonna knock on your door with closure and apologies. That ain't how life works. You want peace? You better carve it out yourself with bloody hands. You want strength? Earn it through heartbreak, through betrayal, through every night you stayed up wondering why. 'Cause answers don't come easy. Sometimes they don't come at all. You just wake up one day and realize you're not the same person. And maybe that's the answer you needed all along. You keep asking, why me? Let me flip that for you. Why not you? You think pain plays favorites? You think loss skips over the good ones? Number. It targets the strong. It tests the ones with potential. The fragile ones break early. But you're still here. That tells me you were built for the storm. You ever think maybe all this pain is trying to shape you into the weapon you're meant to become? That maybe life ain't punishing you, it's preparing you? Every lie, every loss, every goodbye, they weren't mistakes. They were instructions. You just didn't know how to read them. Well, now I'm here to translate them for you. See, the problem is people want meaning without misery. They want growth without the gutting part. But loss, real loss, it doesn't come with a warning label. It crashes through your life like a drunk driver, swerving into everything you cared about. And when the dust settles, you're left picking up pieces of who you used to be, wondering how the hell you ended up here. Let me tell you something cold and simple. If it didn't break you, it wouldn't have built you. If you hadn't been betrayed, you'd still be trusting snakes. If they hadn't left you, you'd still be holding on to poison. Pain is the price of awakening. And you're awake now, aren't you? They say scars tell stories, but they never talk about how the story ends. Some people wear their scars with pride, like battle medals. Others hide them, ashamed, scared someone might see how deep they really run. You wear yours like armor now. Not because you're proud of what happened, but because you survived what happened. You think that makes you damaged? No, that makes you dangerous. That makes you untouchable in ways the world can't measure. Because you've already lived through what most people couldn't handle. You've already watched people you loved turn into strangers. You've already buried pieces of yourself that'll never come back. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still bleeding, still fighting. That's not weakness. That's not brokenness. That's evolution. You want to know what loss really teaches? It teaches silence. It teaches you how loud absence can be. When a voice you loved goes quiet forever, when a room stays empty long after someone walked out and never came back, that's when you learn the language of loss. And it don't sound like screaming. It sounds like nothing. And that nothing, that's where you start to hear yourself. That's where you realize the only person that's ever gonna save you is you. No hand to hold, no shoulder to cry on. Just you, your demons, and the decision to either rot or rise. And don't you dare confuse being alone with being weak. The strongest people I've ever known walked alone through hell with a smile that hid more war than you could imagine. People with pain behind their eyes and kindness in their bones. They don't just happen. They're forged. They're torn apart and rebuilt. They learn to keep their hands clean, but their souls ready for war. And you're on that path whether you like it or not. There's no going back to who you were. And good. That person was too soft, too trusting, too desperate for love from people who didn't deserve to know your name. You don't need closure. You need clarity. Closure's a lie they sell you, so you keep hoping someone will come back and explain why they crushed you. But they won't. They never do. You want truth? Here it is. They left because they didn't care enough. They hurt you because they could. And they moved on because you let them. That's it. No deep reason. No secret meaning. Just selfish choices and your kind heart in the wrong hands. And that truth, that's the key. That's what sets you free. Because once you stop waiting for an apology, you start rebuilding without it. You gotta understand something dark, but necessary. Not everyone who loves you is good for you, and not everyone who hurts you hates you. People are messy. They're broken in ways you'll never understand. But that's not your job. Your job ain't to fix them. Your job is to protect your own sanity before they drag you into their chaos. And I know you tried. I know you gave everything you had, hoping they'd finally see your worth. But the truth? People don't see what they're not looking for. And most of them are too blind with pride, guilt, or greed to recognize someone who would have died for them. So you lost them. So what? You think that's where your story ends? Nah. That's just the part where the main character wakes the hell up. That's the part where you stop begging and start building. When you stop waiting on love and start creating power, real power, not fame, not money. I'm talking about the kind of power that can't be taken, the kind you build when you put yourself back together with fire instead of glue. Let me tell you a little secret. Every empire is built on ruins. Every king was once a ghost. Every monster was born from silence. You want to be something in this world? Then lose everything. Let it all burn. And when you're standing in the ashes, smiling with black smoke in your lungs and a knife in your back, that's when you become untouchable. That's when they can't control you anymore, 'cause you've already been through what they fear the most. And it didn't kill you. It taught you. You see, people out there, they fear the fire. They fear the breakdown. But they don't realize that the fire is the forge. That breakdown, that's the beginning of the breakthrough. You think I'm talking pretty just to keep your head high? Nah. I'm telling you what the world tried to bury. No one wants you to know that pain is your rebirth. That suffering is the only currency life actually respects. They want you weak, obedient, grateful for crumbs. You go through hell and people say, stay positive. Stay positive? No. Stay ruthless. Stay sharp. Because the minute you smile while they spit in your face, you just became easy prey. But you ain't prey anymore, are you? You're changing, quietly, slowly, day by day. You don't beg anymore. You don't chase. You observe. You adapt. You move like a ghost now. People used to know your heart. Now they barely understand your silence. That's the beauty of loss. It don't just remove people. It rewires you. It teaches you how to see through smiles, how to feel the fake in someone's words. It teaches you how to guard your peace like it's sacred. And it is. After what you've been through, your peace is priceless. Guard it like a vault. Because you know what they never tell you? You don't owe anyone access to your energy. You don't owe anyone closure, forgiveness, or one more damn chance. People treat loyalty like it's optional, like your heart's just some revolving door they can walk in and out of. They don't value presence. They only notice absence. They don't cherish your soul. They just test your limits until you finally say, enough. And when you do say enough, they call you cold, harsh, distant. Let them. Let them call you what they want. Because the second you started choosing yourself, they lost their control over you. And that's what they really hate. Not that you changed, but that you stopped letting them damage you for free. You ever notice how the world doesn't clap for survival? It only praises success. No one asks how you're really doing. They just want to know what you've achieved lately. Like your worth is measured in results, not resilience. But I see you. I see the nights you didn't sleep, the days you smiled when everything inside you was screaming. That takes strength most people will never understand. That takes guts, real guts. And guess what? You don't need anyone's applause. You're not here to impress. You're here to endure, to overcome, to outlive the storm that tried to drown you. Let me break it down for you. The old you died in that loss, and that's okay. That version of you, too naive, too soft, too desperate to be loved. The new you, you've got fire in your veins and walls where there used to be windows. You've got standards now, boundaries. You don't let just anyone in. That ain't bitterness, that's survival. That's wisdom born in war. And trust me, wisdom earned through peace is paper thin. But wisdom forged in pain, that stuff lasts forever, you feel me? The problem is, people only respect what they fear losing. And they only fear what they don't fully understand. So be that mystery. Be the one they remember when it's too late. Be the one they compare everyone else to, but can never replace. Let your absence teach them what your presence never could. 'Cause the truth is, some people only realize your value after they've thrown it away. Some people need to feel the silence you leave behind to finally hear what you were trying to say all along. And don't waste your time trying to make them understand. Don't waste another second begging for decency from people who thrive off your pain. They don't deserve your explanations. Your soul ain't some open book for temporary readers. Let them wonder. Let them choke on the version of you they'll never touch again. Because while they're still stuck in the same cycle, you'll be somewhere growing in silence, winning in shadows, turning every loss into fuel. That's how warriors move. That's how legends are made. Quiet, relentless, alone if they have to be. You ever watch someone you loved walk away like you were just another chapter they were done reading? That's the kind of moment that changes a man. Not loud, not violent, just quiet devastation. And you stand there, chest caved in, thinking maybe if you were a little better, a little stronger, a little more, whatever, they might have stayed. But that's the trap, ain't it? Thinking it was your fault they couldn't love right. That's how people like them win. By making you carry their failure like it's your sin. But let me tell you something. And burn it into your bones. It was never your fault they were hollow. It was never your job to pour into someone who was busy leaking. You see, some people, they'll come into your life just to taste your light. And when they realize they can't match it, they'll try to dim it. Not 'cause they hate you, nah, but because your strength reminds them of everything they're not. And instead of rising up, they tear you down brick by brick until you forget you ever shined at all. And when they leave, they don't look back. 'Cause cowards never face the fire they started. They just watch it burn from a distance and blame the ashes on you. But that's where your real story begins, right? In the wreckage, in the silence after the storm, when your soul is curled up on the floor, wondering if it'll ever be whole again. That's where warriors are born. Not in glory, not in cheers, in grief, in the kind of pain that don't speak. It just sits with you every day, every night, until one day you stop asking, why me? And you start saying, watch me. And from that moment on, you move different. Not because you're bitter, but because you remember. You remember what it felt like to hand someone the best parts of you and watch them crush it like it meant nothing. You remember what it felt like to scream into pillows, to fake smiles around people who wouldn't notice your soul was screaming. You remember who you had to become just to function. And that memory? That's not a wound anymore. That's a weapon. You want motivation? I'll give you something better. Revenge. Not the kind with blood and blades. No, I'm talking about the quiet kind. The kind where you rise so high, the people who hurt you have to look up just to remember who you were. The kind where your silence is louder than their excuses, where your success screams in rooms they can't enter anymore. That's the kind of vengeance that lasts. That's the kind they never see coming. Because they expected you to stay broken. They expected you to shrink. But instead, you rebuilt yourself from the ruins they left behind. You need to understand something dark but permanent. You don't go back to normal after real pain. You don't go back to who you were. That version of you died, and that's okay. That version was soft, believed too much, hoped too easy. Now, you're steel. You don't need validation. You don't crave acceptance. You don't run toward people anymore. You walk away first. That's not cold. That's called survival. That's called wisdom. You've seen the monster behind the mask. And now you wear your own. Not to hide, but to protect. Because this world, it ain't for the kind-hearted unless they got teeth. It'll chew you up if you walk around thinking love alone is enough. You need walls. You need grit. You need to be the kind of person who can be gentle, but only when it's earned. 'Cause when you gave kindness for free, they drained it dry. Now they wonder why you stopped showing up, why you stopped explaining, but you don't owe them answers. Not anymore. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself distance. You owe yourself the kind of life that don't include people who only showed up when it was convenient. So when you feel like crying, let it out, but don't stay there. When you feel that rage boiling, channel it. Don't destroy, build. Build in silence. Build with scars. Build with every ounce of pain they handed you. 'Cause pain, when focused, is pure power. And you've got enough pain to light a fire that'll never go out. Let me tell you something brutal, and you better not flinch when it hits. Love ain't always enough. You can give someone everything: loyalty, time, patience, your whole damn soul. And still they'll throw it away like it was nothing. Not because you weren't good enough, but because they never knew what good was to begin with. You can't teach someone how to value a diamond if they've only ever played with broken glass. You were too real in a world that worships fake. Too loyal for people who couldn't even stay consistent with their own reflection. It's not your sin. That's your curse. You were built with depth in a shallow world, and it cost you everything. So now you sit in the aftermath, trying to figure out how to live with a heart that don't beat the same anymore. You try to laugh like before, but it don't hit. You try to love again, but the walls are higher now. The smiles, they're guarded. The silence, it's louder. That's what loss does. It rewrites your code. You don't even recognize yourself some days, and that's all right. That's evolution. Pain didn't break you. It upgraded you. You just haven't learned how to use the new system yet. But when you do, when you do, you'll be unstoppable. See, what nobody tells you is that healing ain't some beautiful sunrise. It's ugly, messy, violent. It's waking up every day with a weight on your chest and still getting out of bed. It's crying in the shower, 'cause that's the only place the world can't see. It's pretending you're okay, 'cause no one knows what to do with your pain. Healing ain't pretty. It's survival with bruised knuckles and a shattered heart. It's realizing that closure don't come from them. It comes from you. When you stop waiting for an apology that ain't ever coming. When you finally say, I deserve better, and actually mean it. But here's the trick. Healing don't mean forgetting. Nah. You remember every damn lesson, every betrayal, every back that turned. You carry those like weapons now, not to attack, but to defend. You don't go back to who you were. That version of you was too easy to hurt. You stay sharp now. You move different. You trust slower. That's wisdom. And if they call it cold, good. Better to be cold and conscious than warm and walking into traps again. Let me be clear. Some people never cared. They just liked the version of you that made their life easier. They liked you better when you were soft, when you didn't ask questions, when you gave without asking anything back. The minute you started demanding respect, they called you difficult. The second you stopped settling, they said you changed. Of course, you changed. Pain forces evolution. Only fools stay the same after being shattered. And now you sit here thinking you're too broken to be loved right. That no one will ever understand what's going on inside your head. But that's where you're wrong. You ain't broken, you're scarred. And scars don't mean damaged. Scars mean healed. Scars mean you fought battles and lived to tell the story. So quit looking at your pain like a curse. Start seeing it for what it is, the blueprint for your rise. You want to know what the world fears most? A man who's been through hell and came back with fire in his eyes. A man who don't beg anymore, who don't chase, who don't need anyone's approval to keep breathing. You become that man, and you'll watch doors open that used to be locked shut. Not because you're lucky, but because you earned every damn thing with blood, loss, and silence. You're not here to make people comfortable. You're here to be unapologetically real, and real scares people. Real is confrontational. Real don't play nice. But real lasts. And after everything they did to you, after everything you lost, you deserve to become something permanent, something they'll remember long after the games are over. Now listen closely, because this part's important. They're not going to admit what they did to you. They're not going to own up to the way they left, the way they lied, the way they used you when they were empty and discarded you when they were full. You'll be waiting a lifetime for someone who broke you to come back and rebuild you. And that lifetime will be wasted. See, guilt is expensive. It costs them their fake peace. And most people don't got the guts to pay that price. So instead, they rewrite the story, make you the villain. Say you were too much, too intense, too broken. That way, they can sleep at night without ever facing what they did. It's easier to paint you in black than to admit they used you like a stepping stone to get through their own mess. But here's where it gets twisted. The same people who left you broken will watch you rebuild and pretend they were the ones who helped you survive. They'll claim they always believed in you. They'll pop up when you shine, when your silence turns into success. And they'll act like they never handed you the knife that carved the scar across your heart. That's why you gotta be dangerous now. Not loud, not violent. Dangerous in discipline, in control, in distance. Dangerous in how untouchable you've become. You give them nothing to hold on to. No anger, no words, just your silence. Sharp, cold, final. Because not everything deserves closure. Not everyone deserves access to the new version of you. They had their chance. They had you. The full, honest, generous, raw you. And they wrecked it. What they destroyed, they don't get to recognize anymore. So when they come knocking, remember this. Don't open a door you had to crawl away from just to survive. Some chapters don't deserve sequels. Some people don't deserve a second glance. Let them choke on the goodbye you never gave. And while they're stuck playing pretend with their guilt, you keep moving. Quiet, focused, cold-blooded if you have to be. Because grief don't have to look like tears anymore. It can look like growth, like discipline, like building your empire in silence, like refusing to lower your standards just 'cause you're lonely. That's the kind of grief that wins. That's the kind that don't beg, don't explain, don't need. You turn your pain into productivity. You make it your shadow, not your master. Let me tell you a little secret. Your comeback doesn't need an audience. Don't chase applause. Don't post every win. Don't look for validation from people who couldn't even see your worth when you were breaking just to stay. Rise in silence. Move like a myth. Let the rumors carry your name till the truth hits them harder than your voice ever could. That's how legends are born, not with noise, but with consistency, not with drama, but with work. You want to be a storm? Be the kind they never see coming. No warnings, just consequences. And one more thing, stop trying to fix what hurt you. That soft part of you that still wants to understand, still wants to forgive, still wants to believe they didn't mean it. Kill it. Not with hate, but with reality. Let it die so you can live. 'Cause you can't heal in the same place that cut you. You can't move forward with a chain around your ankle, dragging the ghost of what could have been. It's gone. They're gone. And what's left? That's yours now. That silence, that space, that ache in your chest. That's your canvas. Build something. Create something. Become someone so unrecognizable they wouldn't even know how to approach you now if they tried. This ain't about revenge anymore. This is about rebirth. You died when they left, but now you rise. Piece by jagged piece, with fire in your ribs and war in your eyes. And you don't explain that to anyone. You just live it. Fully. Fearlessly. Alone, if you have to. Because nothing teaches people faster than loss. And now, they've lost you forever. You ever notice how people treat you like furniture when they think you'll never leave? Like a damn couch in the corner. Comfortable, silent, reliable. Always there. No one cleans it. No one appreciates it. No one notices when it's worn down. They spill their dirt on it. Stretch out their filth. Sit on it like they own it. Why? Because they think it ain't going anywhere. You've been that couch, haven't you? Sat there for years while they used your silence as permission. They took your loyalty as stupidity, your kindness, a damn weakness to exploit. You stayed, and they thought you always would. But now, look around. You're not there anymore. And they're choking on the silence you left behind. Let me tell you a little truth, sweetheart. People don't see value when they got you every day. They see routine. They see habit. And they treat you like background noise. But the second you disappear, oh, suddenly you are gold. Suddenly your absence screams louder than your presence ever did. And that scream, that pain in their chest, that's regret. Raw, bitter, and choking them every second you're gone. They walk into a room you used to light up, and it feels cold. They pick up their phone expecting your name and see nothing. That nothing It's louder than any words you ever said. That nothing is you reminding them they messed up. Bad. But you see the joke? The real punchline? It's that they thought you needed them. That's what makes it delicious. They fed off your attention like leeches, needed your love like oxygen, but played like they were kings and queens, and you were just the jester dancing in the court. But you were never the jester. You were the entire damn stage. And now, curtains down, lights out, no encore, just memories that burn every time they close their eyes. You gave them comfort. You gave them a safe place. And instead of protecting that gift, they pissed on it. You were the storm that held back so they could sleep. But now, the storm's gone, and so is the shelter. Let that sink in. Because people don't learn from peace. Nah, they learn from pain. And loss? Oh, loss is the greatest teacher this rotten world ever gave us. You don't appreciate oxygen till you're gasping for breath. You don't value water till your throat's dry and cracked. And you don't recognize love till it's packed up and walked out the door without a sound. Let's get real now. Let's drop the metaphors. You gave your soul to people who treated it like trash. You smiled when you were bleeding inside. You stood there, broken, just to keep them whole. And what did they give you back? Silence, disrespect, lies, maybe even betrayal. And you kept hoping like a fool that one day they'd change, but they didn't. They never do. People don't change because you love them. They change because life burns them hard enough to wake them the hell up. You tried fixing them, huh? Tried being the light in their dark? Thought your love could cure them, save them, make them see? But you forgot something crucial. You're not God. You're not here to fix people. You're here to live. And all the while you were busy trying to heal their wounds, they were slicing new ones into your back. That's the reality. Cold, raw, but real. You see, some people, they don't want to be saved. They like the power of knowing you'll never leave. They like the control, the ability to mess you up and smile like nothing happened. They test you again and again. Push your limits. Ignore your tears, watch you break, and laugh like it's a joke. And you stayed. You forgave. Again and again and again. But something snapped, didn't it? One day, you looked in the mirror, and you didn't see yourself. You saw a shell, hollow eyes, fake smile, soul running on empty. And that day, oh, that day you woke up. That was the beginning of their nightmare. You started pulling back, started seeing through the masks. And the moment you stopped giving, they started panicking. That's how it works. The second you reclaim your power, the parasites scream. Because without your light, they're nothing but shadows. Now you're gone, and they're sitting in the ruins of everything they destroyed with their own hands. They thought you'd stay forever. They thought they had time. that they could keep disrespecting you, and you'd keep crawling back like a dog hungry for crumbs. But no, you grew teeth, you grew fire. And when you walked out, you didn't slam the door, you burned the whole damn house. And now they're choking on regret, on silence, on memories of the way you used to laugh, the way you used to listen, the way you showed up. No one shows up like you did. No one stayed like you did. And now no one will ever love them like you did. That's the real curse. Not that you're gone, but that no one after you will ever compare. Let me ask you something. Why do you think people cry when someone dies? Not just from grief, but from guilt. Because they waited too long to say, I'm sorry. Too long to say, I love you. Too long to fix the damage they caused. But when the person is dead, there's no fixing anything. It's over. That's how they feel now. You're not dead, but to them, you might as well be. They had their shot, and they blew it. Now they live with ghosts. Ghosts of conversations they should have had. Apologies they should have made. Love they should have returned. And those ghosts, they don't sleep. Let them suffer. You don't owe them anything. Not your return, not your pity, not your attention. Let the silence do the talking now. Let your absence be the punishment. Let their own regret devour them from the inside out. You gave them a heaven they turned into hell. Now give them the hell of missing you. Because you've got a life to build, a new chapter to write. And guess what? This one's all about you. No more playing savior. No more breaking for others. From here on out, you protect your peace. You guard your energy. And you never beg to be seen again. You hear me? Never again. They thought you were soft, huh? Thought your silence was weakness? But silence, real silence, that's where the monsters are born. That's where rage brews. That's where pain turns into power. And you learned to live in that silence. You bled in it, drowned in it, and you didn't cry out. You didn't beg. You just endured, until that silence taught you something louder than any scream. You were never the weak one. You were just the one holding it all together while they were busy tearing it apart. Let's break it down raw. You sacrificed, and they took it as expected. You were loyal, and they treated it like obligation. They played while you stayed, lied while you trusted. And the worst part? You saw the signs? You knew. Deep down, your soul screamed at you, this isn't love. This ain't right. They don't deserve you. But you silenced that voice. You called it doubt. You called it fear. You gave them one more chance, again and again, like a fool, but a good-hearted fool. A fool that wanted to believe. A fool that saw the broken in them and thought love could fix it. But love without respect is a noose, and they tied it around your neck with every smile, every false promise. Every night they left you feeling like maybe you were the problem. You weren't. They were. But the real tragedy You gave them the blueprint to destroy you. You told them what hurt you, what mattered to you, what you feared, and they weaponized it, turned your honesty into ammunition, turned your vulnerability into target practice. And every time you cried, every time you begged them to just see you, they grew colder, like your pain was an inconvenience, like your heart was a burden. But here's the beauty in the burn. One day, the fire didn't consume you, it transformed you. You stood up, skin still blistering, soul still scorched, but you stood. And in that moment, they lost, because you left. And it wasn't loud, it wasn't some dramatic, screaming exit. No, you left quietly, coldly, like a ghost. No closure, no goodbye, just gone. And that silence, it haunts them. Because they know you're not coming back. Not this time. And now they're drowning. Drowning in their own lies, in their own betrayal, in the empty space you used to fill. They see your shadow in every room, hear your laughter in every silence, smell your scent on clothes they swore they threw away. And worst of all, every time they look in the mirror, they see the person who ruined everything. They did this with their selfishness, with their arrogance, with their pride. Let me tell you something twisted about regret. It doesn't show up right away. No, it waits. It waits until the damage is done, until the one they lost has grown, has healed, has leveled up, and then it whispers, "You had something good, and you ruined it." And it never shuts up after that. Regret is the voice they can't mute now, the guilt they can't bury, the scream in their head when they lay in bed at night alone, wondering what you're doing, who you're becoming, and if you still remember them. And you do, don't you? But not like before, not with love, with clarity. You remember what they did, not just how they made you feel. You remember the manipulation behind the smile, the silence behind the touch, the cold behind the warmth. And you finally admitted the truth. You were the real one, the ride or die, the healer, the protector, the rare, the damn miracle. And they treated you like noise. But now you're the storm they can't silence, the dream they can't relive, the blessing they wasted, and it hurts them. Oh, they won't show it. No, people like that never do. They'll fake smiles, post pictures, act unbothered. But behind that mask, they're hollow, because they know the truth. They lost the best thing they'll ever have. They pushed away the only soul who truly loved them when they had nothing to give. And now that you've got nothing left to offer them, they suddenly want it all back. But it's too late. You see, time doesn't rewind for people who took you for granted. You don't get to break someone, then cry when they don't look at you the same. You don't get to ignore someone's pain, then beg for their comfort when your world falls apart. That ain't how this works, and that ain't who you are anymore. You've evolved. You've become someone they don't even recognize. And that's the most painful part. For them, you're no longer the soft soul they could twist. You're fire now. Controlled, quiet, but deadly. And when they look into your eyes, all they see is everything they lost, everything they'll never get back, and good. Because pain teaches, regret reforms, and your silence, it's the loudest lesson they'll ever hear. Let them learn, let them break, let them remember you, not as someone who begged for love, but as someone who walked away when respect was no longer served. Let your memory be a storm, a ghost, a shadow that follows them everywhere. Because if they couldn't handle you at your softest, they sure as hell don't deserve you at your strongest. You ever notice how the ones who do you dirty always play victim after you walk away? Ain't it funny? They stabbed you, watched you bleed, then acted surprised when you stopped showing up with bandages. Now they're out there telling everyone, you changed, like change wasn't the only choice you had to survive. They don't tell the part where they neglected you. They don't mention how they ignored your pain, how they twisted your words, how they made you feel like a stranger in your own heart. No, they rewrite history, make themselves the heartbroken one, the abandoned, the betrayed. As if they didn't light the match and hand it to you, begging you to set yourself on fire just to keep their ego warm. Let them talk. Let them spin stories to anyone foolish enough to listen. Because the truth, it lives in your silence, in your growth, in the way you rise without them. No need to prove anything. No need to defend yourself. Because while they're busy clinging to lies and regret, you're out here becoming someone untouchable. Someone they couldn't even dream of standing beside now. But let's not sugarcoat it. It hurt. Oh, it damn near killed you. That betrayal, it wasn't just a moment. It was a slow bleed, a quiet death. Day after day of giving everything while getting emptiness in return. You fought for them in rooms they wouldn't even enter for you. You held it down when they disappeared. You kept showing up while they were busy teaching you what it feels like to be invisible. And yet, you stayed. Because love? Real love doesn't walk away easy. Real love forgives. Real love tries. And you tried until it broke you. But here's the lesson pain carved into your bones. Trying alone is a trap. It's a cage disguised as loyalty. It's a funeral dressed as commitment. And the second you saw it for what it was, you had no choice but to escape. Not because you stopped loving them. Nah. That would have been easier. You left because you started loving yourself more. And that's the part they never saw coming. They thought you'd never walk, that you'd always be an option on the shelf, that no matter how far they pushed, you'd bounce back like a damn yo-yo. But you didn't bounce, you broke, and then you rebuilt. And the new version of you doesn't fit in the small toxic cage they kept you in. Now they're stuck in a loop, reliving what they lost, replaying every moment they dismissed you, every message they left unread, every night they let you cry yourself to sleep without so much as a call. That kind of regret, it doesn't fade, it festers, grows, eats them alive from the inside. And you don't even have to lift a finger. Your absence does all the work. Let me ask you something. How many times did you lower your standards just to keep the peace? How many times did you bite your tongue so they wouldn't feel uncomfortable? How often did you silence your pain so they could keep pretending everything was fine? Too many, huh? And for what? To be treated like a placeholder? To be loved only when it was convenient? Nah. You're done begging. Done chasing. You're done giving CPR to connections that flatlined long ago. Because the truth? Some people don't love you. They love your energy, your healing, your stability. They love how you make them feel safe, seen, important. But when it's time to give that love back, suddenly they're ghosts, and you're left questioning your worth because they couldn't see it. Not anymore. Now you walk with your head high, not because you're over it, but because you're over them, over the games, the disrespect, the lies wrapped in pretty words. You've outgrown their chaos, their crumbs, their conditional love. You want peace now. Real peace. The kind that doesn't cost your soul. And if that means being alone, so be it. Because solitude is better than fake love. Isolation is better than being surrounded by people who drain you. So let them remember you, not as the broken, begging soul they once manipulated, but as the fire they couldn't contain. Let your name burn on their tongue every time they try to explain why they're miserable now. Let your silence echo in their nights like a lullaby of loss. Because what they thought was forever turned out to be their biggest mistake. And now they know. You know what's funny? The ones who hurt you the worst, they always act surprised when you disappear. Like they weren't the ones holding the knife. Like they weren't the ones twisting it every time you smiled, every time you forgave, every time you gave them one more chance. They act blind to the damage they caused. As if your breaking point was random, as if you woke up one day and just decided to vanish. Number. It wasn't random. It was earned. Every silent cry, every ignored call, every moment you sat alone in a room full of people just waiting for someone, anyone, to notice your eyes were screaming. That's what broke you. And the real punchline? They still think you're the villain in this story. Let them. Let them paint you as the cold one, the heartless one, the selfish one. Let them tell their half-truths and spin their little victim tales. Because deep down, they know that everything they miss about you is everything they destroyed. You weren't asking for the world. You weren't asking for a throne. You were asking for the bare minimum: loyalty, presence, effort. But even that was too much for them. So you started shrinking, started apologizing for needs that should have been met without question. You became small, quiet, invisible, just to be loved. But love built on suppression isn't love. It's survival. It's fear in disguise. And you're done surviving. You want to live now, really live, without the weight of their expectations, without bending over backwards to be enough. Because the truth is, you were always enough, more than enough. And their inability to see that, that's their failure, not yours. You gave them the purest version of yourself, and they spit on it. You poured your soul into their emptiness, thinking maybe, just maybe, your light would be enough to heal them. But broken people don't want healing if it means facing their own demons. So they made you the problem, deflected, manipulated, gaslit you into thinking your pain was an overreaction, that your gut was just insecurity, that your sadness was your fault. But now you see it, don't you? Clearer than ever. They weren't confused. They weren't unaware. They knew exactly what they were doing. They just didn't care, because they never thought you'd leave. You were the safe one, the fallback, the constant. You were the person they treated like trash, expecting you to keep coming back like a fool addicted to pain. But you kicked the habit. You walked. And now, they're stuck replaying every moment you stayed, every moment you forgave, and realizing they'll never get that kind of loyalty again. Ever. You became a ghost, not the kind that haunts, but the kind that's felt. In silence. In regret. In the spaces where love used to live. You're the reason they stare at their phone with an ache in their chest. You're the reason their laughter sounds fake now. You're the reason they avoid certain songs, certain places, certain memories, because all of it leads back to you. And every time they remember how they made you feel worthless, it breaks them a little more. Not because they suddenly care, but because they finally realized they lost something real. And you don't come around twice. Let that sink in. You don't come around twice. You were the shelter in their storm, the calm in their chaos. And they burned it all down for the thrill of control, for ego, for pride. And now they sit in the ashes, wondering how they went from being loved unconditionally to not even being acknowledged. That's the part they can't handle. That silence, that distance, that wall you built not out of hate, but out of self-respect. You stopped begging for them to see you, and instead, you turned your back and showed them what absence feels like. And absence? It's louder than any scream you ever gave them. They scroll through old photos like time machines. They stare at your name in their contacts like it holds the cure to their guilt. But they can't call, can't text, because they know, deep in their gut, they're not welcome anymore. They fumbled someone irreplaceable, and now they get to live with that. Let them, because forgiveness doesn't mean access. Healing doesn't mean reunion. Some chapters are meant to end with the door locked and the lights off. So if they're crying now, good. If they can't sleep, good. If they regret every careless word, every cold shoulder, every missed moment, good. Let their own choices teach them what you tried to say 1,000 times with tears in your eyes. Let their own mind torment them with memories of how you looked at them like they were everything, while they treated you like nothing. Because that's the price of loss. That's the tax regret demands. And it doesn't accept apologies. Only silence. Only suffering. Only the kind of pain that shows up long after the damage is done and refuses to leave. They thought you'd stay forever? No. You left when staying meant losing yourself. And now, they choke on that truth every day. Let's keep going. This is where the darkness turns colder and the fire burns even deeper. You wanted harsh, sad, motivational, and real. Now you'll get the Joker at full force. You know what really eats them alive? It's not just that you left. It's how you left. Silent, calm, cold. No screaming match. No last words. No dramatic exit. You just stopped showing up. No warnings. No, I'm done. Just gone. Like you vanished into the air. And that's what's tearing them apart. Because closure is a privilege, and they didn't earn it. They wanted to drag you through another round of guilt, another performance of fake apologies and promises they never intended to keep. But you robbed them of that stage. You killed the act. You made them sit with the unfinished mess they made. And that silence, that void, it's poetic justice. It's what they gave you for years. Now they finally get to feel it for themselves. See, pain don't hit the same when it's flipped back on them. Oh no, it hits harder. 'Cause now they're the ones replaying every word they ignored. Every tear they brushed off. Every night, they left you hanging in emotional limbo while they played God with your sanity. But now, there's no one answering their texts. No one feeding their ego. No one picking up the shattered pieces of their character. They're alone with it all. And the silence you left behind, it doesn't just echo, it screams. And the worst part? They know they did it to themselves. But you've changed, haven't you? You're not the same soul that used to cry over people who couldn't even look you in the eye when you were hurting. You've grown cold, not cruel, but cold. Because warmth was the very thing that got you burned. Now your heart's got locks on it. Now your time is earned, not given. You don't chase anymore. You attract. You don't beg. You decide. You're no longer that desperate soul trying to prove your worth to someone blind to your value. You let them go. And in doing that, you found yourself. And ain't that the sickest joke of all? That they had you when you didn't even know your worth, and they still threw it away. They had you when you would have moved mountains for them, when you would have forgiven anything, when you would have walked through fire. just to hear I'm sorry. And now that you've risen, now that you've found your voice, your peace, your power, they want you back. But not because they love you, because they miss control. They miss what you gave them. They miss how your love filled the holes they were too scared to face. And now that love is gone, they're empty. Let them stay empty. Let them search every soul they meet, trying to find a trace of you, and never find it. Let them choke on the love songs they skipped when they had your heart. Let them scroll through your old messages and feel the guilt sink in every time they read your words, the ones they never deserved. Let them relive every moment you reached out with trembling hands and got cold silence in return. Because that's what happens when you waste good people. They become ghosts. And ghosts don't come back. They haunt. You don't belong to the past anymore. That version of you, the one that would have crawled back at the first "I miss you," that version is buried, dead, and gone. You're no longer begging anyone to stay. You're no longer waiting for the bare minimum. If someone doesn't match your effort, your loyalty, your energy, they're gone. You don't explain your worth anymore. You just walk. That's the power of becoming someone who finally sees what they bring to the table. And trust me, you bring a hell of a lot. You bring peace to chaos, honesty in a world full of lies, depth in a world built on surface-level love. You bring the kind of energy people pray for and then don't know how to handle when they get it. And that's on them. You're not too much. They were just too little. You weren't too intense. They were too shallow. And now you only pour where there's a cup, not a drain. You're not cold-hearted. You're healed. And people confuse those two when they've only known you as broken. But the healed version of you, it doesn't tolerate nonsense. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't keep doors open for people who slammed them in your face. You've moved on quietly, with class, with dignity. And that silence, it's louder than any revenge, because the truth is, you don't need to get even. You already won. You healed. You rose. And now they're choking on regret.